Welcome everyone to the Secret Art of Business. And today my guest is Vivienne Wagner. Vivienne, thank you so much for being here today. Your website is really fun, and I love that you have the giant word creative in it, which is one of my favorite words. And we were just talking off camera on how you're not just providing digital strategy, but it's creative digital strategy, which I
Yeah,
think is really kind of the key. So with that, if you could tell us a little bit about your business, when you started it or how long you've had it and what it is you can provide to your customers.
absolutely. And again, thank you for having me this morning. Um, so Houndstooth Media Group is a creative digital strategy agency. And, I've never really thought that much about the word creative in there, but we are a full service digital marketing agency and we really know Google. So we love to get creative on how to save our customers time and money and have them
Mhm.
get found without spending a lot of money on advertising dollars and really just getting that foundation set for them first. And a lot of our clients don't have a huge marketing budget to work with, so you have to start somewhere, right? So
Right,
if you can't
right.
cannonball into the deep end of the pool, what's the first step into the pool to take? And that often requires a little thinking cap, a little elbow grease, and getting creative with it. So Houndstooth has been in business for 10 years, and we work with all sorts of different clients, but really I love the small business owner. I do. The people who are 5 million and under, I love them. I love helping them get from here to there and set their goals, and have a wonderful team that we work with. And then we also have a sister company called Web Whiskey that,
Ooh,
again, we got creative because it is a do-it-yourself website builder that is created with WordPress. So it's similar to Wix and Squarespace, but it is WordPress, and it has a built-in business and marketing coach to
that's
help
really
business owners
cool.
get there. Yeah, we think so. And we got creative with that because at the agency, we were seeing where business owners were struggling. Maybe they'd been on a Wix or a Squarespace and now they're growing and they can't necessarily get from here to there with the current website. But if you've been paying Wix or Squarespace prices and then you turn around and come to a custom agency like ours, you're going to have a little sticker shock when it's time to get
Yes.
your new website, right? So we wanted something that's in the middle where you're not going to have sticker shock. You have the ease of use of a do-it-yourself website builder, but you have that built-in guidance. So we took our signature process from Houndstooth that we walk our clients through to really understand who they are, what they do, who they want to be working with, really digging into what makes them special. And we automated it and turned it into a self-guided tour of exercises, if you will. So that's our two companies.
That's really, really cool because, and I just, since you mentioned Squarespace and WordPress, and people really need to be aware that they do build websites, or you can make a website from both, but depending on what you want in your business, you may want one or the other. Like I see, Squarespace as being, if you want just something kind of basic, but if you wanted to do more, WordPress is worth looking into. And the fact that you're kind of helping people, because it is a little more complicated with that as said as
Yeah,
well. But
it's a learning curve.
that's really, really awesome. And I'm going to have all your contact information in the information so people can get a hold of you. Because I
Wonderful.
love this idea too of where, you are just like this problem solving part of it. And you had mentioned again off camera that the parameters sometimes are kind of nice to have when you are trying to create something, just for someone just to kind of come in and say, whatever, just make me something that there's no guide there. But if they get a little more
Right.
specific, like, here's my budget, here's my customer, here's what I want to say, you can
Yeah,
just go crazy with that, which is part of the fun of being a creative person.
it is. It is. I don't think creativity just happens in a vacuum. It
Hmm.
doesn't just spontaneously combust into being. Even if it comes very easy for you, there is something somewhere that inspired you. Something created that little spark. It didn't just happen.
Hmm.
And so, whether you saw something or saw, somebody should do something. This isn't great when people can't, build their business or, whatever that might be. I've only got $50, you know, something is there that
Exactly.
provides a parameter that you can work within.
Exactly, exactly. So with that said about, things sparking ideas and things like that, you um became a business owner, but prior to that there was little Vivienne. And I'm
Yes.
sure that she did something really creative too. So when you were a kid, what did you do that was really, really sparked your creativity before people told you you had to get serious and get a job?
Um, I feel like I've always been creative. I've always liked art. I
Hmm.
always liked not make believe. I'm a little too pragmatic for make believe, but I've always been creative. So like I have a younger sister and she used to love playing with Barbies. I freaking hated Barbie. I was a little tomboy, but I would play with my sister long enough to get Barbie's house built and decorated. And we didn't have a Barbie dream house. I'm like, it's a shoebox, and mom's high
Right.
heel was the sports car, whatever. And then we'd get Barbie's houses built. Your Barbie comes to my Barbie's house for dinner. And I'm like, I'm out.
Mhm.
I'm out. I've done the creative part. She's got a beautiful house, great curb,
I,
that kind of stuff.
yeah, my job
Um,
here's
yeah, like I found an old picture. I was probably 13 or 14, and this is in the 70s, early 80s. I'm wearing the tube socks with the dolphin shorts, and I am putting together the saddest little workbench shelf that you've ever seen with the wrong tools and everything. But I just had gotten in my dad's garage and just decided I was going to build a little bookshelf, and it's the funniest picture. No guidance, no permission, because I did get in trouble for using these tools. Um, but so I've always just kind of been like that. I mean, just always enjoyed art and painting things. I had a couple of aunts that were into ceramics, and they would do that greenware and then give me the acrylic paints where I could paint them.
right, right.
So growing up, I did that.
And what you're
You
talking
know,
about a lot is creative problem solving. It's like, you know what, I need a bookshelf. So how do I figure out how to
yeah,
make it? I don't need any
yeah.
instructions or permission or anything. It's just like I have this need and I need to just figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think it occurred to me to ask for permission because I would see my dad doing it all the
Right.
time. Um, and I needed this bookshelf because I'm a voracious reader. And yeah, I needed a little bookshelf. So it didn't occur to me that
Of
it was
course.
a problem.
Exactly.
It didn't occur to me to ask for help. And it was, after this podcast, I'm going to find it. I'm going to send it to you. It is the
Oh,
saddest little rickety thing.
but that makes it
But
perfect. It really
yeah, and
does.
that was what I did, growing up. And I got married at 22, and that didn't work out. I have two
Same.
beautiful grown sons, right? But like I remember, our first or second Christmas together, not having enough money to really like do ornaments or whatever. Like it was just really a tight budget. I took wadded up grocery bags, like the old
Oh,
plastic grocery
yes.
bags,
Yes.
turned them into like the center of like a paper mache thing, and I painted them like little globes, and peace on earth, and that was my tree. I like made trash into Christmas ornaments.
We
Because
are
we
we are
were having a little
experienced.
Christmas get together, and I wanted little party favors. So here's a trash bag that
Yeah.
I painted for you. But
Got to
they
clean
looked
up when you're
cute.
done.
Yeah, they look cute. I don't think anyone knew that they started off that way because they had the cute little twine hanger and everything.
Oh
But
yeah.
like that was always my mindset. I wanted to be a good hostess. I wanted a party favor. What how what can I do here? And that's what happened. And then
See, you
then when we got
you
what?
saying that is sparking all the crazy things that I have also created out of trash or cardboard or boxes or things like that because it's like I don't may not have the money for this right now, but I want it. So what do I have laying around that I can make into that? And I'm gonna guess
Exactly.
there's probably a lot of people listening to this that they're like, "Oh my god, I
Mhm.
did that too," and that's what
I do
probably
that
the
too.
whole do-it-yourself trend, and that it was all these people who were felt like, I can probably maybe make some money at this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, during that marriage, there was a little rickety grapevine picket fence that we had to take down. It was falling down, and I wouldn't let my ex throw away those pickets. And I'm like, I gotta do something. Well, we made picket fence beds.
Oh,
The
fun.
headboard and the footboard were picket fence beds, and there's an area in Southern California, the Orange Circle, and it's full of cute little shops and antique store. And I like dragged pictures of my beds in there and little wreaths that I was making, and I was able to sell some of my furniture through these shops. It was super fun, and that was my first real foray into entrepreneurship. I didn't recognize it at the time, but I was like, I just made this product and it's really cool. And what if somebody,
We
oh my
want
gosh, who would,
it.
who would want the crazy out of my head? But so we did that. And then when the ex and I got divorced in the split up of the property, he took the china and I took the power tools, if that's any indication
I
of
love it. It's
how.
perfect. I mean, it's perfect. No, I'm
Yeah,
really gonna need these.
yeah, yeah. Well, and so at the point that we broke up, I was living 1,000 miles away from family in Southern California. We had moved up to the Portland, Oregon area. And I didn't want to leave because we had just bought what I considered to be my dream house. It was a 1914 Craftsman farmhouse on a double lot in a historic neighborhood. I was just in love with it. And it felt like if I go back to Southern California, that's a little bit of, it's a defeat. So I'm going to
Mhm.
see how I can do this. I started a pottery business. I had been taking
Of
a
course you
pottery
did.
class at the Y, and he left while I was pregnant with kid number two. Uh,
Well,
and
but you're
I
good
was
now,
like,
so, you know.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving.
Yeah,
I want to stay here. I love this house. I feel like I just have to do this for myself. And so I had been, dabbling in the pottery and giving it away as gifts or whatever. So I doubled down and I got myself a booth at the local farmers market. And I would spend, Sunday through Friday filling custom orders and hurrying, yelling at the clay, dry faster, so I could, get it done in time. And then I would go to the farmer's market. I would sell all my pottery and go home, unload the car, sit down for a minute, and then start again. And I did that for a couple of years before I
wow.
went, this is hard. I should probably go back to school and finish school. So I did that. And I have a degree in public administration with an emphasis on policy development. So
Wow.
So I was doing, you know, I didn't recognize it at the time for being marketing, but it was marketing because it's public affairs. It is working with, certain legislators and their constituents. And how are you going to spin this legislation that you want to get passed?
Right.
How are you going to sell this?
It's creative
Um,
problem solving again. It's like, how do we get everybody
again,
on the same page with this? How do we get this passed? And actually the fact that you said that explains a lot why I always kind of stay involved politically in what's kind of going on around me, and why I find it so interesting too. But just, it's like the thought process that goes behind the strategy. I mean, there's a lot of marketing involved in politics, to kind of
oh,
get
100%.
things
How are you going to
passed.
phrase this? What's the right word to use? What are the pain points
Yep.
of that group that you are trying to solve, and what is the objection that the people who don't want this are going to have, and how do you get out in front, like all
Exactly.
of
And
that?
like marketing, a lot of it is very emotion based too. So
Yes,
we're seeing that even more so now. I think people kind of figured that
yes,
out.
yes. I
um
noticed that.
so that is just an awesome backstory. But now I'm gonna fast forward a little bit to, like, at some point you decided to open Houndstooth. So how did that all come about?
Yes. Okay, so ex-husband is gone. I'm now married to my high school sweetheart. We've been married 20
Oh,
years. We reconnected after I was divorced, connected at a high school reunion, and the rest is history, as they say.
that's awesome.
I moved back down to Southern California to be with him and, build our life together. And decided when I got pregnant with our son to stay home. So I dropped all the politics, I dropped everything, and I was not bored, but not
Well,
Something was, I
mine did not
needed a
shut
little
off.
something. Right. Mine didn't shut off. And they're, the little monkeys back there, they're all grown now, but they are hilarious. And I don't scrapbook, right? So as a mom, I started this blog where I was writing the funny stuff because I have a writing background,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
writing about the funny things these guys did and just whatever. That blog went from, funny kid stories to me doing what I liked to do, which was cook things and decorate things and make things and entertain. And that blog found an audience, much to my surprise. And so I developed this do-it-yourself lifestyle blog that had this audience that had me working with brands. I was a beta Pinterest user. All of this designed to drive traffic to a website. That's why I'm an SEO expert. I learned on my own with elbow grease because bloggers make money when people come to their website.
Right.
People are like, how is, you don't sell anything? Nope, but I have ads on my site. And every time I have page views, those ads start paying out. And if you get a big enough audience, you start working with companies and brands who want to pay, right? So that's what I did for several years. And then I had a friend who was a luxury real estate agent, and we were on a girls' trip. And she goes, can you help me? Actually, my brokerage wants me to write a weekly blog post for our company website. I don't have the time. Can I hire you to ghostwrite it? Sure, no
Mhm.
problem. Little extra money. I'm happy to do that. Well, then I looked at the brokerage and what they were doing. This is back in 2013. And I was like, oh my gosh, they don't know how to use digital marketing. This is not how you use Facebook. This is not, and
Mhm.
so I had nothing but criticism for what they were doing because they were doing it wrong. They were using their Facebook page to just wish their team members happy birthday. The end. That's what they were doing. Nobody was seeing that. So I had made these comments to her. She said, would you mind talking to the guys and tell them that? Well, I thought the guys were just her friends. They were the 5 founding partners of the brokerage.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm so glad at the time I did not know who they were, or I would have just fallen all over myself. Like, well, I would have been in a panic. But I sat down and just started telling them, you're doing it wrong.
Uh-huh.
Here's what you should be doing. And as I'm saying this to them, and as I'm seeing their reactions, and I'd met them in passing before, but as I'm seeing their reactions, the penny's dropping. These are decision makers. Oh gosh, I'm insulting the owner of the company. And I was like, oh no, I can help you with this. I can help. And my friend like proverbially kicks me under the table and shoots me this look. And I'm like, I'll get you a proposal. That's what I'll do, a proposal. And I could barely see her do that. She helped me write the proposal. She helped me, this is the format it needs to be in, and how much do you think it's going to be? And I wrote out a number that I thought was ridiculous. I felt
Mhm.
really, because remember, I'm a do-it-yourself lifestyle person. I
Right.
make
You make
Christmas ornaments
pottery.
out of trash bags. And
Exactly.
I'm talking to people who own businesses in Santa Monica, Brentwood, Beverly Hills, right? So a more affluent situation. And I told her the number and she goes, great, triple that. And I was like, are you
Oh,
insane?
friend. What a good friend.
And I was just like, can't triple that. You don't understand. I'm just me. This comes easily for
Right.
me. And it was one of my first lessons in just because it comes easily for you doesn't mean that it doesn't have value.
Yes,
And
yes,
that
yes.
was a real big lesson for me to learn. And I still am sometimes learning it because there's a lot of things that come easily for me. Anyhow, she said, and don't just give them the proposal, sit down with them, get on the phone with him and go over it together, the lead guy. I did. He didn't bat an eye. He says, when will you start? I'm like, tomorrow. So that was my business born right there, sitting at my dining room table by myself. And I worked my hiney off for the next 6 months, revamping this brokerage's marketing department, and all the while getting real estate agents, individuals coming to me and saying, can you do what for us, what you're doing for your friend? And that's how Houndstooth was born. And I started calling friends, other bloggers that I knew. I'm like, can anyone revamp a YouTube channel? Who can do that for me? And that's how I built my team.
That is
So it's
awesome.
people who know as much as I know, if not more, and who've just jumped in. And of course, we've had additional hires, along the way, and we're now much more intentional about it. But I absolutely did not mean to start a business.
That's fantastic.
100%.
That is
Yeah.
fantastic that you just basically fell into it, but it was based on all this history that you have about just figuring things out. It's actually
Yeah.
quite amazing and fun.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you this first too, because I'm curious, where did the name come from?
Actually, my husband, because I was looking to see at the time, back in 2013, what were other people who were sort of in my space, what were they doing? And I was trying to figure out some iteration of Vivienne Wagner Consulting or Vivienne Wagner this or that. And I was so focused on, like, oh, that domain would be hard. Like, I was searching that way. I was not thinking bigger picture. And I'm glad it didn't work out, because I would be so limited if I was Vivienne Wagner and team,
Mm-hmm.
because then everyone would only want to work with me. And
Right.
that's not sustainable or scalable, right? So from the
Right.
other room, my husband, who's the peanut gallery, just shouts out Houndstooth Media Group. I love Houndstooth. It's my signature pattern. I still have a few pieces, I think, from high school, that just
Oh
because
my
it's
God.
classic, you
Yes.
can dress it up and be breakfast
Love
in
it too.
Tiffany's about it, or you can pair it with some Doc Martens and some neon and take it in a completely different direction. So it's very versatile and classic.
I
So
love it
we
too.
named it.
Okay. So everything's going great with Houndstooth. What are you doing now that still kind of sparks you creatively that's not based on your work?
It's not based on work.
Yes.
Work has become this huge part of the life. It's work is the thing that will sometimes wake me up at 3 a.m. because
Oh,
I'll be
always, always.
thinking
It
about.
is very consuming, but there's got to be something you're doing either with your husband, your kids, just your quiet little, um, guilty pleasures. I mean,
Yeah.
what is it that's kind of sparking like the next version of you?
So I always Christmas time is my time. Love Christmas. I'm always like thinking about that. I change the color scheme every year. This past year we had about 6 trees. Some of them were small, but six.
Uh huh.
I love that stuff. Every Sunday we have Sunday dinner. We alternate between having it here at our home or at my parents'. We moved closer to them. They're about 15 minutes away now, and everyone comes. Do not laugh. I am having so much fun making charcuterie boards. I love it. I'm
I
like,
love
I
them
need I
so
need
much.
green here. Like, it's like painting with food.
Yes.
I
Yes.
am having so much fun with it. The other I think it was Mother's Day weekend, we were driving and there was a wild sunflower on the side of the road. I'm like, honey, pull over. I need that sunflower. And I grabbed the sunflower and I brought it home and I stuck it on that little corner of the charcuterie. He's like, you're so weird. Like, but
Oh
no, I
my.
just saw it. I just have to have it.
I'm definitely not going to laugh because I take my meat and cheese plate very seriously. And if you can make it look amazing, I'm here for it. I really am. I love that. I love that because, yes, like you said, it's like painting with food and it is something that's completely unrelated to your business, but I can just
Yeah.
see it brings you a lot of joy.
Yeah. Well, and I like cooking a lot.
Cooking's a
And
great,
during the week, I don't. During the week, it's like, what's for dinner? I don't know. Fend for yourself. Um, so weekends, I really enjoy being able to step away a little bit. I mean, I still, because we're launching Web Whiskey, and we're in
uh-huh.
beta for that, and there's always something, and
This will always be there.
right. But I still am devoting more time to it now that it's launched. We devote a lot of time to it, because Houndstooth, it becomes a team managed company. We have great clients. Things are running nicely, and it's like, well, things look good. Let's throw something else onto the pile and disrupt our lives a little bit. with work creatively, but still. And so
Yeah.
I enjoy cooking on the weekends. I love kind of just puttering in the yard. I like to putter. I do like to be home. And so I
I
will
like
go, I'm going to clean some. I like to clean things. I do. It's,
it. They look so much nicer when you're done. I mean, I totally
it's
get
so much
that.
fun. And people are like, that's so weird. Why don't you just hire somebody? Because it is a productive way to have something get done that needs to get done, but my mind goes. I do not
Mm-hmm.
need to
Mm-hmm.
focus on washing a dish or, cleaning grout or whatever it is that I decide is filthy and needs to be cleaned right this minute, right? Whatever that is, I get to let my mind go, and
Yes.
I have something that is a tangible result of what I just spent my time doing, and my mind goes. So I get some of my best ideas, I think, in the shower or cleaning
Yep.
something,
Yeah. And I
because
think there's got to be like a definite science around that. And I'm kind of leaning towards the idea that you have to disengage that left side of your brain because that's the one that's driven. That's the one that just like, I got to keep working, got to keep working.
Mhm.
But people are doing these little things, even if they're small. And what we're seeing a lot today is people that do those paint and sip classes. We see
Mhm.
people binge watching like Desperate Housewives. We see people just saying, I just need a glass of wine at the end of
Mhm.
the day to unwind. That's all that is. And cleaning is definitely one of those things too. And when people say, I get my best ideas in the shower, it's exactly what you're talking about, where it's, I got to disengage this side and start. And even with the shower, it's about the lather, it's about the smell, it's about the
Yeah.
feeling, the sensation, and it's shutting off that left side and
Mhm.
really capturing that other side. So, okay, I got to give you a rest over here. And
Yeah.
I got to be over here for a minute. But then while you're here, it's like, oh, wait a second. Let's talk to this person over here again, because now I got an idea that you can work on.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yes, yes, all of that.
And at the
That is,
same time, like, you don't feel guilty that you're
no,
not
you shouldn't.
working the
You
problem,
do, but yeah.
because you still have a tangible result at the end. You have a clean body or you have a clean house.
Yes.
There is something that is great.
That's
That was
done.
productive.
Exactly.
I know.
Yeah, but to your point, people do feel guilty when they are like, I can't stop working. I can't stop working. And again, it's like, no, wait a minute. Take that walk, watch the show, take the shower, clean the
Mhm.
grout or whatever. But truth be told, I finally did get somebody to kind of clean my grout now, so I can work on even other things. But if that's your thing, don't let it go by any stretch. It's like, this helps me with my business. Making
Yeah,
sure my
and
dishes are clean helps.
I feel like you can tell when you're at that point. If you've ever like been grabbing something out of the closet and go, this is ridiculous, and right then and there you start pulling things out and organizing. If it comes upon you to clean out and organize your closet, don't don't do anything else. That feeling doesn't come around very often. Take advantage, right? So it's
Yes.
kind of like it's reverse creativity, if you will. It's like you can't force creativity. You cannot say, I'm going to sit down and be creative right now. It's there
Yes.
or it's not. Sort of like clean out the closet now or you don't. So when
Right.
those moods hit you, you can't you cannot push all of it through a certain door. This is my creative door. I can't push it. I can't make it happen. It's inauthentic to try to, I'm going to sit here and be creative. So if I'm not feeling creative, like if there's copy that needs to be written, if there's graphics that need to be created, if I need to really, noodle around something that we're inventing, um, if I'm not feeling it, I don't do it. I do something else right then. And
Yes.
um,
Yes.
you have to treat it that way because you're not going to get a great result if you do. And people are like, oh, we'll just use AI. Well, yeah,
Yes.
we do
But
use AI, but if you aren't really thinking about the prompts that you need to put in, if you aren't really thinking about the strategy that needs to be behind it, you're just going to get bad copy faster. So that's not helpful,
right, right.
right?
I kind of like just AI using it. We'll talk about this just briefly. Is that it helps me kind of redirect my thinking. So it's almost like sharing it with somebody else. Can you read this and let me know what you think, or what words can I say to make this sound more professional or whatever? And that's kind of
Mhm.
where I use it. It's like, you know what, I'm saying this a little, maybe I'm a little writing this a little too flip. How do I bring it back so it
Right.
sounds more professional or more funny or more approachable?
Right.
And it adds some words that I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. That's a great word. And then I will still, it's not still never exactly what I would say, but it does help train, get me in a direction that I might not have thought about, which is what I kind of appreciate about it. But to your
Yeah.
point, yeah, it's not the end all, but it, much
Well,
like it's just it's a tool. And for me, sometimes it's just walking away from what I wrote or drew or whatever and just say, I
yeah.
got to come back and look at this because I kind of hit
Yeah.
a wall
Well, when you
here, or
realize,
I don't know what
garbage
direction I need.
in, garbage out, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
eat a crap diet, you're going to feel like crap. If you
Right.
feed the AI just something that's non-specific and not really strategic behind it, you're going to get crap back out of it. So
Exactly.
you sometimes have to be in the mood to do that. And I think creatively, back to parameters, if I've got something swirling around in my head with regard to AI, swirling around in my head, and I know that I want to write a certain something a certain way, this is what the end result should be, and I can't quite get there from my approach, putting in anything into AI that can give me a framework to work off of. Now I have a structure and I
Like
can
that.
take my creative stuff and build it out. That's been
Yes.
helpful.
Yes, 100%. Because that goes back to, blank wall syndrome, blank canvas syndrome, blank page syndrome. It's like, I need something to kind of spark the rest of this. I totally get that. And that's a great idea.
Yeah,
That is great.
it's
And I can
helpful.
use it as a tool. Well, Vivienne, this has been awesome. I
Thank
feel like
you.
I've met a kindred spirit. You get me. And that's what I like about this. I'm meeting so many people that just are my people and have just this one, they're just the mind is constantly working, the tweaking, the fixing, the cleaning, the innovating, the restoring, all that sort of stuff. And, and
Mhm.
it's just kind of
We call it the zhuzhing.
the zhuzhing. We're
The
the zhuzhers.
zhuzhing. Zhuzh.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I will have all your information in the notes so people get a hold of you, because I do think you can truly help people with all of their communication, and maybe just have some random ideas for them too. You never know.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.